this evening. He was fully intending to be here, and I was grateful for that, but he is otherwise occupied, and we understand why it is important for him to be there. But I'm going to recognize him now and let him say a few words. His name is Destin Hall, and thank you, Destin, for being here with us.
Thank y'all for having me. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, all right. I feel like I'm on the spaceship and y'all are Houston. Anyway, I appreciate Celeste for letting me be able to do this electronically. As you all very well know, in this part of the state, we've had some of the most devastating times that we've ever had. You know, I'm from Caldwell County. I represent all of Caldwell and part of Watauga County, and my district has a little bit of Boone in it. And, you know, I'm from Caldwell County, lived here most of my life. I've never seen the kind of devastation that we have, even in this area. And the further west you go, the worse it is. There are still folks to this day, we're almost a week out from this hurricane, still folks in my district that don't have power. Thankfully, it's getting up and running here quickly, and we're recovering, especially in Caldwell. I was up in Watauga County yesterday, seeing some of the damage and meeting with Senator Budd up there. And, you know, I know further west, we still have folks, sadly, who haven't been accounted for. There are people still missing out there. There are some folks who are still cut off from civilization almost a week later. And, you know, you've seen the great stories online of all the folks who have come to Western North Carolina to help, people donating their time, money, and their energy, people coming in with their own helicopters. And I can tell you firsthand, it is still a real need. It's still critical, it's still in crisis mode in Western North Carolina. And but for those things, I would be there with you all tonight. And I hate to miss being in person at an event for Celeste Cairns, because she is one of the best among us in our caucus. Already, you know, she's risen in the ranks and become a star in our caucus, and doing a great job working hard for the caucus as well, because, you know, we're dealing with some tough times out here out west and other parts of the state. Campaigns are still running and going on. And it's critical that we do all we can to maintain our supermajorities in Raleigh, in the House and the Senate. And I'm confident we're going to do that. That's the good news. We're now, 30-some days out from this election. And that's why Celeste is out working hard to raise funds, to go out and make sure that we maintain that supermajority. Because right now we've got about 12 or 13 seats out of 120 in the House, 12 or 13 that are going to make the difference between supermajority or not supermajority. And we've got to have that supermajority because we've got to be able to override a veto. And you've seen the past 8 years what that means. If we didn't have a supermajority, you would have men playing women's sports in North Carolina high schools, because that's what the Democrats want to do. And that's what was happening here until about a year and a half ago. We passed the bill, Democrats voted against it, and the governor vetoed it. We overrode the veto. If you don't have supermajorities, you don't have voter ID in North Carolina. And thankfully, for the first time in a general election anyway, we're probably going to have voter ID this fall. And I say probably because we've been fighting this battle since about 2015. The legislature passed in 2015 a voter ID law. Democrats sued. They've got a left-wing judge, what we call sue till blue. They can't win at the polls, so they have to win in court. And so they got voter ID struck down, so we put it up as a constitutional amendment. You all approved it overwhelmingly in 2018, 6 years ago. And we're just now getting to use voter ID for the first time in a general election in an even year race. But the Democrats to this day are still in court fighting to try to block voter ID in North Carolina. We wouldn't be able to pass those things if we didn't have supermajorities. We wouldn't be able to continue to be the best state in the country for business. You've seen tax relief year after year. Of course, the Biden and Kamala Harris regime right now, inflation being through the roof. The state government, of course, There's not a whole lot we can do about monetary policy, but what we can do is lower your taxes and try to bring some relief to you that way with these sky-high prices you see at the gas station and grocery store. We've done that year after year. We've got one of the best tax climates in the entire country, and it makes us one of the most competitive states in the entire world to come and do business in. All of that can go away very quickly, though. If we don't have supermajorities in both chambers, we don't have the ability to pass those conservative principles that have continued to move this state forward now for about 15 years since Republicans took the majority back in 2010. And so what Celeste is doing is critical to that mission to maintain Republican supermajorities in both chambers. Know that the dollars that you're giving her, they really matter. You know, I'm in a very Republican district here, because I've got really smart voters, just like you all. You know, you all vote for Republicans. And Celeste is going to win in November. She's a great candidate, and it's a great district. But Celeste can't be effective, and I can't be effective if we don't have those supermajorities. And the dollars that you're giving to Celeste, they help her have clout within the caucus. People see that she's working very hard, as she's always done, and helping her sort of rise in those ranks and be seen as a leader among caucus members, and she's doing a great job at it. But those dollars go to put lead on target. They go to send out the mailers, the TV ads, the other things that we need in those tough races where they're not so much Republican. Maybe it's a bit of a purple district. A lot of those in Wake County and Mecklenburg County and areas like that, where if we don't go compete, we don't spend a lot of money. You know, the Democrats have people like Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, some of these billionaire hedge fund managers. They can send in $1 million at a time, and they've done that in the past. That's not something, just a conspiracy on Facebook. Michael Bloomberg literally cut a check for $1 million in the last election cycle to the North Carolina Democrats that were used in state house races across the state. So know that what you're doing matters. It really makes the difference. You know, we are going to have several races, in my opinion, that probably will be separated not by thousands of votes, but by hundreds of votes. And literally the fundraiser that you all are doing there tonight could be the difference in a supermajority and not having a supermajority in this state. And again, if we don't have it, that's the difference between being able to pass conservative policies or being blocked by the far left, woke liberals, kind of like what we see in New York and California. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping our caucus. Thank you for letting me zoom in and talk to you tonight. I didn't feel like it was right for me to leave this part of the state with everything that we have going on. I've basically done nothing for the past week except for deal with storm relief and just making sure people out here are getting all the resources that they need. You know, we're not as used to, many of y'all on the coast especially see hurricanes a lot more, especially down the southern end. We're not as used to that in my part of the world. And this has been it was a very intense storm, and let me tell you, it's been absolutely devastating. You've seen a lot of that on the news, but it's really worse than what you see reporting on the news. And I can tell you, based on talking to a lot of the folks on the ground, a lot of the emergency management folks, sadly, the death number that you see up there reported right now is probably going to end up being a lot higher as we get into the next few days. Many folks still missing. Many folks that unfortunately they know have probably passed away. They can't get to them because the roads being inaccessible. And you know, it's almost it's almost like a third world country in some aspects. You know, no power, no water, no access, and no roads. And these are American citizens. They are citizens of North Carolina. But one thing that I'm really proud of is the response of the people of this state over the course of the last week. Again, people donating their own time, money, and energy to come out and help their neighbors. It has been a tremendous response, and it really has made a difference because at the end of the day, you can't rely on the government to solve problems, but you can rely on yourself and you can rely on neighbors. I'm thankful that we have the wonderful neighbors that we do in North Carolina and really across this country to come in and help the folks in this time of need. So keep us all out here in your prayers, if you will, and continue to do all you can to support Celeste Cairns I can tell you that she's going to have a big impact on what our caucus does going into 2025. And I'm confident we're going to have supermajorities. We have 72 Republicans in the House right now. That's exactly how many you need for a supermajority. If we lose one, we lose a supermajority. But I can tell you, based on the momentum and everything that I see right now, I think we're actually going to increase that number. And it's thanks to folks like you all who have supported these campaigns and done it all across the state. And so I can tell you that if we can get there, we can maintain that supermajority, we can add to it. You're going to see this General Assembly continue to pass policies that you all can be proud of, that continue to move this state forward in the right way. So with that, I'll turn it back over to ground control there, and thank you all for letting me speak to you tonight from Zoom.
Awesome. He's wonderful, and we look forward to his leadership over the next few years. So I'm going to introduce real quick the elected officials that we have here and that I am very grateful to have joined us this evening. We have two of our state senators with us, our own state senator, Norman Sanderson. And we're all working hard to make sure he gets reelected. He's got a tough campaign. Senator Michael Lazzara, who represents Onslow County. Thank you so much for being here. I have Representative Steve Tyson here. Steve represents most of Craven County. I have a little bit of Craven County, and I'm very proud to represent them too, but Steve has the bulk of Craven County. We have Representative Dr. Tim Reeder.
Yes.
Tim he's a fellow freshman with me. We started together this last session, and he is an incredible addition to the House, and we appreciate his knowledge from a medical standpoint especially so much. Let's see, who else do we have? We have our fabulous sheriff here, Sheriff Lisa. We have someone who we are confident is going to be a House member, probably the youngest House member maybe we've ever had, Wyatt Gable. He has not yet been officially elected, but he will represent some of Onslow County, and he has Swansboro area, so he will be my closest neighbor here. And we have Marion Waldrop. She is Commissioner-elect, basically, she's for Carteret County, and she will represent this area of Carteret County. And we are thrilled to have a strong former Marine colonel, female, with the commissioners here in Carteret County. So thank you, all of you, for being here. And I'm going to let a few of them speak to you because they're probably better speakers than I am, one. And two, I know you're interested to hear from them as well. So let me call up first Senator Sanderson and let him say a few words to you all.
You've just gotten relaxed.
Thank you, Celeste. You know, Carteret County has a history, and I said this the other night, and I've thought about it today, and I'm more convinced than ever. Carteret County has a history of electing and sending to Raleigh to represent them and to represent all of North Carolina some very, very smart, hardworking, on the subject representatives and senators from here, all female. So give yourselves a hand. 30 years of female representation here, either in the House or the Senate. And so it's an honor to be drafted into that, because all three of them have become very good friends of mine. And we work together very, very closely to better Eastern North Carolina and the whole state. As a result of what we do here, the whole state is in a better place. You know, we're in a situation that, as Destin said, that we may have to fall back entirely on the power of the General Assembly to save us. And I have not given up. I don't believe some of the stuff that's going around about the people that we have running for us, because we've seen no evidence. All we've seen and all we've heard is finger pointing and accusations, and there's been nothing to substantiate it. And so I encourage everybody to continue to go out and vote the way that you intended to vote. Because we've been through this how many times in the last 4 years as far as accusations and proved to be false. So just follow your instincts, vote your values, and vote who it is that you want to see in the state of North Carolina lead this state. I guarantee you, you do not want Josh Stein leading our state. I have worked with him, I have served with him. He is not a nice guy. I don't care what he appears to be on TV and commercials. So anyway, we have a situation that a lot of our statewide races, we know what's happening in the western part of our county. Destin explained it very well. We were talking with Linda's uncle that lives in Boone, and he was telling us that the photos and the pictures you've seen does not do justice to what is actually going on up there on the ground. And he was almost in tears when he was talking about the help that has come from neighbors all over this state, from right here in our own county, that have gone up there, law enforcement officers, emergency responders, everything that's needed to give those guys up there some semblance of normality. And that's going to be hard to do, and it's going to be a long process, but we're here to stand with them. But here's something that a lot of people don't understand. It's almost impossible to win a statewide race in North Carolina unless you have the Eastern vote, especially as a Republican. You have the Eastern vote, but you've got to have the Western vote too. And we don't know exactly how we're going to pull this out, because a lot of those folks still don't have electricity. They still can't get to anywhere, even in their own communities. And so we'll go back into session next week. We've been talking to some experts about this from other states that have had the same problem we have. We're going to try to pull a plan together to make sure that those folks who want to vote in Western North Carolina will be able to find a place to vote, and to vote legally, and that it will count in this election cycle. Because this is the most important one that we've had in many, many, many years, and all of you know that. Sometimes, and I'm I think the 5th or 6th longest serving senator in the General Assembly right now. Sometimes when a freshman comes in, you kind of back off a little bit to see kind of how they're going to do. You know, you don't want to put all your horses in the same pasture at the same time. And so I didn't do that very much with Celeste, because I had campaigned with her and I knew what kind of a representative she was going to be. You have made a wonderful choice, and now we've got to stand together. Absolutely. We work together very well. I work very well with Pat McElraft, who you all know. I work very well with Gene Preston, who you all know. And the same tradition is already been developed and is even getting stronger and stronger working with Celeste. Because most of the time, by the time I call Celeste and ask her about something, she's already got a solution for it. And that's good. You know, sounds kind of like my wife. But that's a comfort, okay? And to know, and I know you hear a lot of talk about how the Senate and the House sometimes are at odds with each other. Let me tell you, down here in Eastern North Carolina, we're not at odds with each other, because we don't have that problem. We know what is best for our people, and we work together to make sure that that's what happens. So you've done another fabulous job in electing Celeste and sending her to, and I'm expecting her to run for some kind of office in her caucus before too long, maybe even next year, we'll see. But don't forget that we've not only got to help ourselves get elected, and my race is a lot more difficult, it's going to be closer than I want it to be, but we're still going to prevail. But we have to help those other districts that are not as strongly Republican as we are. And we do that. We help them. We make sure that they have the finances they need to do the kind of campaigning that it takes to win a position. And we're not averse to that. We enjoy doing that. We get out here and raise money. Some of the money that's raised here tonight for Celeste will go to the caucus to help those folks who have a harder time and are not as in a district the way that we are, to help them win also. Because, and you heard it from Destin, the 30 and the 72 are critical for our state going into next year, because we have to be able to survive whatever comes at us, and we can do that. I look forward to being up there next week. It's going to be a sad time, because I think a lot of the representatives and senators will finally understand what has actually happened to our state, and see the devastation that is there and the magnitude of it. But we're going up there into session, and we're going to work, and we're going to start the process of bringing relief. and bringing back to those people up there a normal lifestyle. And we're going to stick with them to the end. We're going to be with them all the way, just as they would be with us if we were here in eastern North Carolina. Because just a few degrees to the east, and we could be facing the same kind of catastrophe they were facing. 30 to 40 inches of rain in a 24-hour period. Can you even imagine that? And so things that were there are not there anymore. And I've talked too long, but God bless you. Thank you for being here. If you've written one check, just before you leave, write another one.
See, you get such wisdom from our senators, actually. Senator Lazar, would you like to say a couple of words? He's going to say, go get a pizza on your way home.
That's right. Thank you, Celeste. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Michael Lazar. I represent Onslow County, and I also own Lazar's Pizza right up the road. So I've been paying taxes in Carteret for a long time. I feel like it is home. So first of all, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. And you guys have some incredible people here. You have Sheriff Buck, who is an amazing individual and one of the hardest working sheriffs that we have. We work very closely together on a lot of policies. We work hard for donations, as you can see. And then you have Celeste, who's really been a rock star since the day that she walked in. She's an incredibly hard worker. She's up and down the halls, the elevator. She's there in the morning, she's there at night, and she's passionate about what she's doing. And that, it takes a special person to do what we do. And I can tell you, we are very fortunate to have her. She understands our community. She understands the military. She understands our challenges. And that's a big deal when you're up there. You got to know what your challenges are for your community. And she has a broad understanding of all of that. And we work very good together, as Senator Sanderson said. Just to touch on a little bit what Dustin Hall was talking about. Governor Cooper, under his regime, has vetoed over 111 bills in his tenure. In his 8-year tenure, over 111 bills, more than any other governor in history of North Carolina combined. And since we've had the supermajority, we've overridden about 22 bills already. And that's incredible. I mean, that's just unheard of, and you can't do that without a supermajority. And as we go in this election cycle, there's a lot of uncertainties. But what we are certain about is that we need to win the critical races, such 30 in the Senate, 72 in the House. And what have we been doing in the last couple months? Well, I know personally I've been traveling all over the state raising money for our colleagues. We have some critical races that we've got to win on the Senate side. And then, of course, they have some critical races on the House side that we must get. We need to win the Attorney General's seat. That's an incredibly important position. We need to win the judge's seat. We need to win the auditor's seat. We need to win the labor commissioner's seat. Of course, we want to win the governorship, but we have to be prepared in the event that we don't. And the way that we do that is by knowing what we can secure or what we can control. And you being here tonight is incredibly special for Celeste to take your Friday night, take your time to be here to support her. We need support. This is not an easy job. Going to Raleigh each and every week. I mean, we make $13,620 or something like that. So we don't do it for the money, guys. We do it because we have a passion for serving our community. And you being here tonight gives us fuel to continue to do what we do. And of course, writing a check makes it even more important, because that check will not go to Celeste. It will go to help her colleagues. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to work together, to work for our colleagues, and then in the event that we need help one year, they will help us. And that's the way it works. Kind of like what's going on in Western Carolina. You know, there's public safety officers from almost every county in this state that have gone up there. Fire department personnel from almost every county pulling together, civilians, people from out of state. It's no different than what we're doing here tonight. And it's incredibly important for us to be here and to donate. And I call it, I guess what's the analogy? The toothpaste analogy. You know how you have your toothpaste and you roll it up and you think it's almost empty, and then you kind of push it and it has just a little bit more. So if you've written a check, push it just a little bit more and find a way to write another check. But anyways, it's an honor and a privilege to be here with you and to honor you this evening. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Who knew, in addition to being a senator and a pizzaiolo, is that how you say it? He's also a Baptist pastor, apparently. So, pass the hat around, get your wallets back out.
Catholic.
Oh, Catholic. I think you're well. So he's good at putting the guilt on you about not giving you enough or not giving us enough. And yes, some of it is for me, actually. Let me just clarify. But honestly, it is mostly to help the red team in the House, because it takes every single one of us to override one of these vetoes. And he has vetoed things that are incredibly important to all of us. We don't expect to be in the position of having to protect our girls from young men in their sports. We don't. We didn't expect that, right? We don't expect to have to protect minors from surgeries that will remove healthy body parts and sterilize them for the rest of their lives. We don't expect that. But you need your legislature to be that wall. And that 72 and that 30 is the only thing that is protecting us from some of the real radical policies of the left. Our kids, we want our kids to be educated. We want them to be smart. We want them to learn to do arithmetic and learn to read and learn to write. We want them to learn to love each other and love this nation, but not to have them separated, not to have them reading things, seeing things that they shouldn't be exposed to. They shouldn't even have to contemplate at their age. We're that wall. So every single seat in the legislature makes a huge difference. So I'm here for that reason. Because you know what? I do expect to win my race. I need you to turn out. I need you to vote. But the reality is there are so many races that are extremely, extremely close. And the Democrats are coming in with millions of dollars for state, House, and Senate seats. Think about that. What if it was me? I was trying to raise millions of dollars in my district. That would be impossible. So it's incumbent upon me and my colleagues to come in and help those folks, because that money is desperately needed and we are the only ones who can do it for them. So thank you for that. Okay, want to give Tyson here a chance to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Celeste, and I won't ask you for any money. I think you've been asked by our senator, so no, you're out here, so you're giving. You're out here, you're going to vote for Celeste, but it's tough running as a Republican. It's much harder than it is running as a Democrat. They control the media, lock, stock, and barrel. We all know that, except for perhaps Fox News. But it's also easier for them to get money. There was an article in the Carolina Journal a couple of months ago, and at that time 40% of the money that had come into the state Democrat Party, 40% came from outside of North Carolina. Most of it is coming from California and New York. At the same time, 3% for the Republican Party had come in from outside the state. So it's more difficult, and your money matters. It does matter. We've already talked about that. But you're out here because you're conservatives and you're going to support conservatism, and it works. Conservative governments works. We're in a really good position financially as a state to help our friends and partners and colleagues out in the western part of the county recover. We've got $8 billion in reserve fund, almost $5 billion in a rainy day fund, but we've got $3 billion in other reserve funds that we could, with legislation, put it towards that recovery if we had to. So our policies are working, our fiscal policies are working, our social policies are working, and that's why we're the third fastest growing state. But with that said, I work with Celeste probably more than anybody else in the General Assembly except our next speaker, I think, because she does represent part of Craven County, and she's doing a great job, not just for Carter County, but also for Craven County. And we talk daily, every day, when we're in session. And so we've got a really good relationship. She's doing a great job representing you. And our next speaker is doing a great job as well. I think, I hate to say it, because our freshman class was pretty dang good too, but your class is probably the best that I've seen. Anyhow, I'll turn it over to Dr. Reeder so he can say it.
Come on, Dr. Reeder. We don't look like freshmen, do we? We're the oldest freshmen. Oldest freshmen you've ever seen.
Well, thank you very much, Celeste, for having me. And as you've heard, when we all joined, we're freshmen, and we have a lot of variations in what we came in with. And there was 13 of us as freshmen in the house. And it was really great getting to know Celeste over this last 2 years. It seems like dog years, right? 2 years that's taken a lot of time. And we sort of showed up together, had a little dinner the speaker put on for us, and really, I don't think any of us understood what we were getting into. And so the pace of what we did, the things, the policies of how just to get things done is really hard. And so I really have enjoyed getting to know Celeste really over this last couple of years and knowing what a hard worker and smart and thoughtful person she is. And so my district is in Pitt County, so I'm just up the road in Greenville. That's the district that I'm in. I'm an emergency physician, so that's my day job, and I've got a shift this weekend, so I'm still working full time. And I feel like this is partly home. I've got a little place up in Atlantic Beach, so we were talking before. I don't come to Emerald Isle that often, but I go to Atlantic Beach all the time. And so this is home. When I come over that bridge, life just feels much better. And I look forward to, when I don't have to work, spending even more time down here and having great people like Celeste help represent and do the policies that are so important. And I think for me, and I think Celeste would probably agree, I didn't realize what we were getting into. The policies, the really important things that we've been able to do this year because we had a supermajority, and in all of those great things that we've done, if it had been one vote either way, one seat, none of that would have happened. And you've heard about a lot of those great policies already. But when you think about it, really one seat over the course of North Carolina would change everything. And you've heard a lot about asking for money, and I'll just tell you my story. I'm from a purple district. When I ran, it was a Democrat 2%, and it turned out to be the second most expensive House race in the state, and it was, I think, the closest. In my race, my side, we spent $1 million. My opponent spent $875,000 for a House seat in North Carolina that pays $13,591. Okay, Pitt County's got a little bit of money. We don't have that kind of money. And so I relied on folks like Celeste and Steve who were able to give money to me to help support my campaign. In my district, it's the second cheapest media market in the state. And so we spent piles of money on mailers and TV and all sorts of things. And if it hadn't been for the effort of my fellow members, I wouldn't be here. And the importance of voting cannot be overstated. In my race, I won by 354 votes out of 30,000. 354. In my district, there's 15 precincts. If 12 people at each of those precincts had voted the other way, I wouldn't have been elected. 12 votes. Okay? So just because you think you're in a safe seat, and I'm speaking to the choir, so what I'm going to challenge you is what you need to do is find 5 and 10 and 20 friends to tell them the story. Because this race for Celeste might not be close, but it will be for Senator Sanders. It will be for those statewide ballots. And a couple of years ago, the Supreme Court Justice Newby, 401 votes, I think, over the entirety of the state. 401. So that's probably one vote or two votes.
4 votes for county.
4 votes for county. Per county. That's changing. So we really need you to talk to your friends, because Democrats do, right? At church, at functions, that it's important to get out and get both sides of the vote. I think the other statistic that we heard was in 2020, in North Carolina, 200,000 Republicans voted for just the president. they didn't go down the ballot. 200,000 votes. If we had done that, the entire council of state would be different. So it's really important for you to get out, talk to your folks. Thank you very much, Celeste, for having me. It's been really good. I'll leave you with one last thing. You hear the thing, don't give till it hurts. Give till it hurts. What I want to challenge you with is give till it feels good tonight. Okay? So that's what I want you to do. Think about on the way out. So thanks very much, Celeste.
Thank you.
That give till it feels good. We don't give refunds, just so you know. Your check is safe in my treasurer's pocket somewhere. Jan's got it over here. Sheriff Buck, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I'll try.
But he doesn't really usually say a few words.
Let's see,
So,
6:22. Yeah.
all right.
I can
You
get out
got
of here by 9.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. I can't say hello in 3 minutes. My name, for those of you who don't know me, that I hadn't had the opportunity to speak to, I'm Asa Buck. Been the sheriff in this county for almost 18 years. And I hope that trend will continue. I'll be on the chopping block in 2 years. But over that time, I've been very active, obviously not just with law enforcement and public safety issues here in Carter County, but I've spent a lot of time in Raleigh, all around the state, on the telephone, talking to folks, good friends with some of the folks that have been up and talked to you, and a lot of our other representatives in our delegation as well. And I got involved with our State Sheriff's Association. I've been on the executive committee since 2011, past president, past chairman. And so 18 years later, here I am. And I remember when I was growing up in North Carolina, there was a time when there wasn't all that much daylight between Republicans and Democrats. Not like it is nowadays. It's almost like playing football. You wore that colored jersey, we wore a different colored jersey, and we got out there and had a good scrap and everything. Whoever won, that's what we did. And even in more recent history, there was a time where public safety was never political. Republican, Democrat, didn't make any difference. You supported the fire department, you supported law enforcement, you supported public safety, you supported the military, on and on and on. When I was elected sheriff in '06, there was a strong push at that time for strict and strong immigration enforcement. And the 287G program actually started in Mecklenburg County under a Democrat sheriff, Jim Pendergraft. And we did that for many years. We worked with the legislature to, just for that one topic, immigration enforcement, Republicans, Democrats, sheriffs, everybody working together. And just in the past few years, the immigration enforcement has become a political issue. A lot of things in public safety have become political. So your votes and the folks that you elect and that we send to Washington, D.C., and the folks that we send to Raleigh, it makes a difference. And as a sheriff who's been in the game for a long time, and not just being a sheriff, but being involved with our association and the close working relationship that we have with the legislature, and us getting together and trying to figure out things and keep bad legislation from getting enacted and pushing forward good legislation, it really, really makes a difference. And what the folks have said before about not just maintaining a majority, but a super majority, so you can override the governor's veto, especially if the election doesn't go the way we want it to, that is going to be imperative. What Cooper's done over the past several years is one thing, but I shudder to think what we're going to be in store for another 4 years if Mr. Stein gets elected. So giving our folks the ability to maintain that super majority so they can override those vetoes is going to be paramount. And it is about relationships and partnerships. And I am so proud of what we've all been able to do together on all these different issues. And I'll tell you, I told Celeste, I said, Celeste, anywhere you go, if you need me there, I'll be there. I pick up the phone, I call Celeste, it ain't 5 minutes, she calls me right back. If she don't answer right on the first ring or two or either.
I am no fool.
Well, I can make a sheriff joke there. You know, I run a hotel over in Boca. But Senator Sanderson and the other representatives that come before, we work so closely together. And but Celeste is really, she is on it.